Quick warning before we start. This video is a trap, not a scary one, a yawning one. By the end of this sentence, some of you have already started. Feel that stretch behind your jaw, that little internal alarm going off? That's not random. That's one of the strangest reflexes in the entire human body waking up. You didn't get tired in the last 10 seconds. You got infected with a yawn through a screen that has never touched your face. Today, why yawning spreads like gossip, why your dog can catch it from you but not from a stranger, and why some people are weirdly immune. Let's go. Let's start with the obvious question. Why do we yawn at all? Even alone, even when we're not remotely tired. The old answer was oxygen. You're low on it, so you gulp in a big breath. Nice theory. Scientists tested it directly and it collapsed almost immediately. Researchers had people breathe extra oxygen and pure carbon dioxide. Yawn rates barely moved either way. Whatever yawning is for, it isn't a gas station pit stop. The current leading theory is about temperature. Yawning may cool your brain, flexing your jaw to pump extra blood and air past it like a tiny built-in fan. That would explain why you yawn more when you're tired or bored. Both states let your brain's temperature drift upward. Yawning is the reset button. There's a clever piece of supporting evidence. Researcher Andrew Gallup found that breathing through your nose or holding a cold pack to your forehead measurably cuts how often you catch a contagious yawn. Cool the radiator and the whole engine has less reason to yawn, which means, technically, the fastest way to stop a chain of yawns in a meeting is to just chill your face down. It also explains something everyone already knows without realizing it. You yawn way more right before bed and right after waking up. Both are temperature transition zones for the brain. Fine. Mystery 1, mostly solved, but that's not the weird part. The weird part is what happens next, because yawns don't stay yours for long. Meet Robert Provine, a psychologist who spent a genuinely absurd amount of his career doing one thing, hiding out and counting yawns. He filmed people in hallways, waiting rooms, cafeterias. He even showed volunteers a silent black and white video of a man yawning over and over for 5 straight minutes. The result, about 55% of people yawned back at a video of a stranger yawning on mute. It gets sillier. Just reading the word yawn, or a sentence describing one, measurably makes people yawn more. Your eyes are doing it to you right now. You don't even need a mouth. Provine found that seeing a yawning mouth on its own triggers it, but so does just seeing someone's eyes during a yawn. No mouth visible at all. He even tried stripping it down further. Chimp yawns, cartoon yawns, a yawning emoji on a screen. The trigger kept working, weaker each time, but never fully switched off. Something about that shape alone does most of the job. So, a yawn isn't really contagious the way a cold is contagious. There's no virus jumping between you. It's closer to contagious, the way a song you can't get out of your head is contagious. Pure pattern, copied by a brain built to copy patterns. Somewhere in your brain, there's a machine whose entire job is copying other people's faces, and apparently, it runs on autopilot. And this machine is ancient, way older than humans. Chimpanzees catch yawns from other chimpanzees, so do baboons, and even from watching video footage of yawns, the same trick Provine used on people. That means contagious yawning almost certainly predates language, predates tools, maybe predates most of what makes us feel distinctly human. It's older than words. It's a rerun of a very old rerun. Which raises the real evolutionary question. Why would a reflex this useless be worth keeping around for millions of years? A gaping mouth is not exactly a great defensive posture. The leading idea is coordination. If temperature-regulating yawns spread through a group, alert levels sync up together. A troop that gets sleepy and wakes up on the same schedule survives better than one drifting out of sync. So a yawn spreading across a room might be a fossil of an old survival trick. Get sleepy together, wake up together, watch each other's backs together. So who has this copying machine? Turns out, not everyone equally, and that's where it gets genuinely interesting. Human babies barely catch yawns from adults for their first year or so. The wiring isn't finished yet. By age 4 or 5, most kids are as contagious yawn-prone as grown-ups. And here's the plot twist waiting in your living room. Dogs catch yawns too, from humans. In 2012, researcher Karini Silva tested this directly. Dogs watching their own owner yawn caught it noticeably more than dogs watching a total stranger yawn. Your dog isn't just tired because you're tired. On some level, that yawn is a tiny act of recognition. It knows you. That's why it copies you and not the mailman. Later work found dogs even catch yawns just from hearing a human yawn. No visual needed at all. Their ears alone are enough to trigger the reflex, which is a genuinely wild thing to sit with. Somewhere in a dog's brain, evolved for an entirely different species, there's a switch that your yawn flips anyway. Empathy, apparently, doesn't care much about the species barrier. Which brings us to the real rule hiding underneath all of this. Contagious yawning isn't really about yawns, it's about closeness. In 2011, researchers Ivan Norcia and Elisabetta Palagi tracked real yawns among real people going about their day and mapped who caught them from whom. Family members caught each other's yawns the most, then close friends, then acquaintances. Strangers barely caught them at all. Closeness was a better predictor than anything else they measured. Your yawn radius is basically a map of who you love, which means every time your best friend catches your yawn across a couch, their brain just quietly confirmed you're one of their people. This is why researchers now think contagious yawning rides on the same brain machinery as empathy. The same mirroring system that lets you wince when someone stubs their toe. Some brain scan studies point at the same neighborhoods lighting up for both. Regions tied to imitation and reading other people's states, areas researchers sometimes describe using the loaded phrase mirror neurons. That phrase gets thrown around more than the science fully supports, so hold it loosely. But the overlap is real enough that several studies use contagious yawning as a rough, if imperfect, proxy for measuring someone's empathic wiring, which is also why, on average, autistic individuals show reduced contagious yawning in several studies. Not zero, and not every study agrees, but it's one small clue pointing at the same shared circuitry. So the annoying coworker who somehow never catches your yawns? It's not necessarily personal. Their mirror might just be turned down a notch, or you two just aren't as close as your dog thinks you are. Age plays a part too. Older adults catch yawns less often than younger adults, on average, in several studies. One theory says the social mirroring system just gets a little quieter with age, alongside a lot of other empathy measures. And then there's the small, genuinely mysterious group of people who almost never catch a yawn from anyone. Not friends, not family, not even themselves rewatching their own yawn on video. Nobody has fully cracked why. It might be wiring, it might be personality, it might just be a slower firing mirror. Either way, if you've ever bragged about being yawn-proof, you might genuinely be one of the rare ones. Here's a fun way to test your own radius. Right now, without looking away, try to yawn on command. Go on. Hard, right? Faking one rarely works, but you probably yawned for real at least once already in this video, without trying at all. That's the whole paradox in one experiment. You can't summon a yawn on purpose nearly as easily as you can catch one by accident. Willpower barely touches it. A stranger's open mouth on a silent screen does the job instantly, which tells you something important about your brain. It's constantly, automatically, copying the people around you, their yawns, sometimes their posture, their tone, their mood, mostly without asking your permission. So next time you catch a yawn from a friend across a room, don't fight it. That reflex isn't weakness, it's your social brain quietly doing its job. It's the same circuitry that makes you tear up at a friend's good news or flinch at their bad day. Yawning is just the silliest, most obvious version of something you're doing constantly. And honestly, if a friend's yawn can travel through a screen, through silence, through a completely different species' skull and land inside your own dog, maybe closeness isn't as invisible as it feels. It's leaving little fingerprints on your jaw in real time, right now probably, at least once more before this video ends. So, how many times did you actually yawn during this video? Be honest in the comments. I'm genuinely curious and slightly smug about it either way. Subscribe for more uncomfortably relatable science about why you are like this.